are delighted to see you. This is round 2 for us. We were here this morning, and so good to see so many people. And thank you for joining us. We're going to say grace and then give you just a couple of minutes to finish up, and we'll start the program in about 5 minutes. So would you bow with me to give a word of thanks? Oh, most gracious Heavenly Father, Father, we come before you to ask for your blessing on this meal as well as on those who have prepared it. We also thank you for bringing this amazing group together and for times like this when we can gather and enjoy each other's unique perspectives. Bless our speaker and open our minds to fresh ideas. May we each take something new from this experience, something that can be used to benefit others. And may the fellowship we enjoy also enrich our lives so that we can in turn enrich those around us. We remember your goodness with grateful hearts, and we say, Amen.
Annual women's event. My name is Nicole Schaefer. I almost forgot my name there for a second. And I am proud to be the director of Her Traditions. My pride in what I do comes from many different areas, but first and foremost, I am always proud to shine a light on all that women do to make our families, our communities, and our workplaces thrive. Throughout history, the accomplishments of women have all too often been pushed to the side. And even today, society needs to do a better job of placing a value, both financially and through recognition, on the critical roles that women fill. I am proud of the intentional journey that Traditions Bank is on to build a program that is both affirmational and affirmative for women. When we talk about empowering women, that's an important message, but it's equally important that we're asking, are we affirming each other? Because as we're on this journey of where we aspire to be, are we taking the time to truly see one another? So think about the women in your life, the women that you work with, women that you're mentoring, women who are mentoring you, your friends, your family, and ask how you can tell them that you see them and what they're doing day in and day out. Let them know that what they do holds value, because that affirmation might be the support they need to feel good about who they are, and it could be the push they need to continue to invest in themselves. With Her Traditions, we're constantly thinking, how can we support women and how can we have more impact? And I'll give an example of how we change the way we do things. For years, our signature resource has been our financial personality indicator. It's a great tool that helps women understand how we relate to money, and we can use that knowledge to make more intentional and impactful decisions. However, we realized about a little over a year ago that we weren't doing the best job of giving actionable steps for your overall financial preparedness. So we revised it. And over the past few months, we've heard great feedback from women who have taken the FPI and have told us that it's given them actionable steps. They're able to set goals and put plans in place to meet those goals. And most importantly, they tell us it's done in a judgment-free environment. And that is so important and something that we strive to do in every interaction. Another way that we have provided ongoing support is through our scholarship program. And I'm happy to share that this year we awarded 11 scholarships to young women who were graduating high school and going on to continue their education in college. Thank you. Each of these young women has shown tremendous leadership skills, has excelled academically, and have provided meaningful community service. And I'm happy to say that we have some of them here with us today. I'm not sure I got to see all of them beforehand, but I'm going to announce the names of those who I thought were going to be here, and I'll ask that they please stand so we can recognize them. Claire Rumsey, Ida Gupta, and Grace Forey. Ladies, let me tell you, it was hard to pick this year's winners because we had some outstanding young women. They have already blazed a trail, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds for them. It's important to support women through these scholarships because it sends a message that investing in women in leadership is critical. It's equally important that we're supporting women across all industries and all life stages. So we needed to examine how we were awarding our scholarships, and I'm happy to say that this year we started a new scholarship in partnership with the South Central Pennsylvania chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction to launch our first ever Women in the Trades Scholarship. Those recipients will be announced in the near future, and then later this year, we are also going to launch our first ever non-traditional student scholarship so that we are supporting women at any age who are choosing to continue their education and blaze a new trail. So that's a lot of new things that we've done. Thank you. You guys are a supportive group. I love that. But we're not done. We're constantly evaluating how we can do more. How can we have a better impact on women in our community? And if you were with us last August, you heard me talk about a pilot program that we were working on to provide personalized financial life coaching to women who were going through significant life events. We partnered with an incredible company called Willow. And if any of you are Today Show fans, you may have had a chance to see Willow's founder and CEO, Lacey Garcia. She did a segment last week where she gave financial advice for all life ages. I want to make sure that everyone understands the significance of this partnership because Traditions Bank is the first bank in the country to partner with Willow. So it's an incredible partnership, and I actually found out just a few minutes ago that one of the Willow coaches is here with us today. So I'm not sure where you're sitting, but if you want to raise your hand, and there you are. Thank you, Sherry. So what do I mean when I talk about significant life issues? Well, think about either yourself or a woman you know who is maybe going to start a family or is going through a divorce, has recently become a caregiver, maybe she's an entrepreneur. Any really significant life event that impacts your financial health that you might need some additional support with, you might be a good candidate for Willow. I will share that this program is exclusively for Traditions Bank customers who have taken the Financial Personality Indicator. And as part of our deep commitment to supporting women, Traditions Bank is covering the first 2 sessions as a gift to the 50 women who will participate in this pilot program. We also are partnering with other companies who are interested in covering the additional counseling costs for their employees. So there's more information about that and the program as a whole in our Willow flyer, and that's located back at our bank materials table. However, if you want to get started and you don't need any more information, I recommend you just go to hertraditions.com and click on the Financial Personality Indicator. Then you'll connect with one of our team members. We'll review your results and discuss potential next steps. So I hope it's obvious why I have so much pride in what I do. However, I haven't mentioned one very important part of that, and that's the team that I work with at Traditions Bank. I work with an incredible team who supports me, even though I'm always pushing them to try new things and grow. And they constantly impress me with their commitment to building real relationships. So I'd like to ask all Traditions Bank associates to please stand, and I hope you'll join me in thanking them for their dedication. I also want to take a moment to recognize 2 individuals who are here with us at today's event. Her Traditions would not exist without their vision and their ongoing support. I'm talking about Carolyn Schaefer, the founder and champion of Her Traditions, and the CEO and president of Traditions Bank, Jean Draganowski. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Sara Vetter. I can tell you that when I read the book, The Soul of Money, it had an incredible impact on me. And I couldn't wait to connect with someone from the Soul of Money Institute and beg them to please come and speak to us here. And luckily, through my persistence, Sara agreed, and she did a fabulous job this morning. And my intent was for her to impact every woman in this room, and she did that, myself included. So please, please join me in welcoming Sara Vetter.
Okay, round two. Okay, so I learned a couple things since I've been here. One, there are things called stink bugs. And there's one in that room. Actually, there's two. And during the break, it started to fly around. So I'm like, oh my God, is it going to get on me? And then I'm going to stink. And like, everyone's going to smell the stink bug. So I never knew what a stink bug was. And I spent a lot of time in the Amazon rainforest. And they don't have stink bugs. They have a lot of other critters and creatures and things. But, you know, like snakes and stuff like that. But no stink bugs. So anyway, that was one of my takeaways. And, you know, it's so, and then Carolyn and I, we had a shoe off moment in between. I haven't worn heels in like 2 years. I've been waist up, Zoom only. And then all these great talks I do, I've been feeling really profound because I put it on my laptop and I stare into that little circle and I pretend like I really am looking at you all, but I'm really looking at my document. So I sound so profound. So now I'm like, wait a minute, I have to say this in person again. I have to get back to the off Zoom thing. But it is a total pleasure to be here. So grateful for Nicole and for your nudging me and asking me. It's an honor to be here. I learned more and more about her traditions, and you know, her traditions is ahead of the game. I mean, it is all about women right now. And I know there's some men in here, so I don't want to men bash. We need the men and we love the men. But it's really women and these young, amazing, dynamic, beautiful, glowing young scholarshipies that are really going to turn the table for us. It's up to us to mentor them, and it's going to be up to you to save this planet with us. But we got to do our work, you know, so that you can have a thriving, amazing life that you deserve, which you will, thanks to her traditions too. So there was something I got from Nicole around my FPI. Well, let me say something about the FPI. So my colleague said, Sara, Nicole wants you to take the FPI. I'm like, the FPI, the Financial Personality Indicator. I'm like, oh, why? I work for the Soul of Money Institute, but why does she want to know my financial personality? It's going to be bad. So I kind of panicked. She's like, Sara, it'll take you 20 minutes, you've got to do it. So I do the FPI, and then I have a call with Nicole, and I'm panicked, like she's going to find something out about my financial screw-ups. And then I'm going to be a fraud for talking today because I run the Soul of Money Institute, and I have screwed up my financial. So it was so interesting. I got caught in the trap of feeling scarcity, which is what I'm going to talk about, in the process of taking my FPI. So it really hit home, like, wow, this is important. This is like what we have to not be afraid to do. This is what we have to step into. And so there was again, then I got this whole folder. I'm a blend. And what is my
Freedom fighter.
I'm a freedom fighter. There you go. And I'm a blend. So I was a blend. But there was a saying right on the inside of the flap that I loved that said, we are here to help you succeed. Our sole purpose is banking, but our heart is people. And I love that. I'm like, oh, that's why I'm here. You know, I run something called the Soul of Money Institute. It's based on this book, The Soul of Money, written by Lynn Twist. She and I call her my wife. She and I are, we're glued to the hip with each other. And, people will often ask, why did she call it that, the soul money? Because money doesn't have soul, but we do. And we bring the soul and the heart to our financial resources, just like what happens here with her traditions. And I love talking to women. I love talking to women about money. I love talking to, I'm just so about women right now. Most of our work is with women. And right now we're really in the midst of what we call the Sophia century. And the word Sophia is a Greek word that means wisdom and divine wisdom. And a lot of philosophers and, thought leaders and people out there in the world call this a Sophia century, a time when it's a woman's rightful role to really step up. And if you look around, you look at this room full of amazing women, look at, her traditions, what, couldn't have been possible X amount of years ago. But like I said, you guys were ahead of the game. But if you look at the leadership in women right now, if you look at the vitality in women, if you look at the way in which women are stepping up, you look at the way in which women are not backing down, you look at in ways that women are just vibrant and showing up, and it's okay to feel, and it's okay to be conscious, and it's okay to have intuition, it's okay to have community, it's okay to have sisterhood, like all the things that women do so darn well is showing up, I think, everywhere. And I think it's what's going to turn this world around. I work very closely in the Amazon rainforest. I also work for run something called the Pachamama Alliance, which is an organization that brings forth an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just human presence on this planet. And we work with indigenous people in the Amazon 25 years now. And they have this great saying, if you're coming to help us, don't waste your time. But if you're coming because your liberation is bound with ours, then come, let's work together. The indigenous people don't have a word for I. They're about community. They're about collaboration. If you think about that, think of what's the number one company? iPhone, iMac, this, right? We're so about I. I've learned so much from the indigenous that applies to me now. And the leadership is just now happening for women in the Amazon. 12 years ago when I started taking people to the Amazon, and as I said this morning, you're all invited to come to the Amazon. I lead trips to the Amazon. It's another thing I do without heels. And the women would sit off to the side with their head down like this. And the last couple of years, not only did they elect a vice president of the indigenous nationalities to an office, but the women stand now with their shoulders up and their heads up, and the indigenous men, they realize they're not going to get anywhere without the support of the women. The women are what make the household run. They are what make things work. So I'm just pumped up about women. And that's why I love her traditions, and I love the work that you guys are doing. It just turns me on, and I think it's where we're going to turn the dial. I also work with Nobel Peace Prize laureates, and one who's very near and dear to my heart is Lema Bowie, who is from Liberia, who stopped a civil war by bringing Muslim and Christian women together to protest young soldiers killing villages and having a civil war. She stopped a civil war. I spoke to her a day ago. I'm not kidding you, because we're doing an event together. And she said two things that I just wrote down. You can't change the world if you don't dare. It's time to stand up, sisters, and do some of the most unthinkable things. We have the power to turn our upside down world right. And I think we do. And I think what's holding us back is what I'm going to talk about. It's certain mindsets that we have. It's certain ways that we see that we're not enough. It's certain ways that we think we can't do it. We're not enough. I'm not enough. There's not enough. I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. That's baloney. That is just a mindset that is in the culture that I'm here to kind of shake it up a little bit. We had a very intense morning session that was very emotional with some powerful shares, and I'm hoping that's going to happen today in what we're going to do together. The mission of the not Pachamama Alliance, see, I do both, Soul Money Institute. We really inspire individuals, institutions, corporations to move from an economy of fear, scarcity, consumption to an economy of sufficiency, sustainability, and generosity. because it's sustainability, it's generosity that is going to actually create more flow and more resources for you and your loved ones. So I'm going to take a little poll here by raising your hand. So here's my first question. How many of you have anxiety or fear around your relationship with money? Raise your hand. Wow, okay. How many of you have conflict around money within your family? Any kind of conflict? Okay, this is a pretty squared away group. I'm raising my hand because this is all true for me. How many of you feel that you're going to run out of money someday and one day be a bag lady? I seriously have that. I mean, on a more serious note, I live in San Francisco, and there is a horrible homeless situation. But when I see people on the street, I think, how did they get there? Like, what was the beginning of their life like, and how are they there now? I always want to sit down and hear the story. But I do have that anxiety sometimes, which is probably why I was afraid to take the test. that I would blow it, you know. And a lot of women, some of the most successful women imaginable. We work with, at the Soul Money Institute, we work with millionaires, we work with billionaires. The more money, the more billions, the more anxiety they have about it. We worked with a well-known, it's confidential, billionaire family this year. And he was about to go from, I'll say as a couple, were about to go from worth $900 million to over $1 billion. And he was panicked. He did not want to reach the B because of the pressure of maintaining that and keeping up, and his anxiety about getting to the B and his anxiety about losing it all was as if he had $10 to his name. I kid you not. I mean, I had to kind of just like, what? Like, just give me a couple of those M's. Give me a couple millions. Let me relieve the pressure. Don't get to $1 billion. Give it to me, and then I will give it away, and it'll be all fine. Then your anxiety will go. But it just reminded me so much of what we talk about. It's not about an amount. It's about a mindset. It's what's in the culture. It's who they're hanging out with. It's the panic that it's all going to go away that came from his childhood. It actually came from his childhood because he grew up with nothing and scraped. So his anxiety about not having anything and feeling guilty or shame around having the amount of money that they did, was overtook actually enjoying what he had. I want to share my money story, and the reason I'm going to do that is because you're going to all share a little bit in a minute, and our money story is really important because it really says who we are now. And there's, as much therapy and everything that I've certainly had, it carries through. And everybody has a money story. Everybody has a money story. And mine has gotten me to where I am today. I'm sort of the poster child for Soul Money Institute and relationship with money. But I grew up in California. I grew up in Northern California in a Central Valley agriculture land. My mother had inherited wealth a lot, and she was, and we knew it. I knew it from a little kid. My father had no money, and he had no power. In my mind, I saw him as weak. I remember, all my attention was on my mom, and it was always on mom. She was tough, she was intense, she was cold. I love her dearly, but she had no sort of compassion or there was no intimacy in my family. So it was all about outer riches, outer looks. I had a lot of inner shame. I had a lot of inner insecurity. I never felt I was pretty enough, skinny enough, athletic enough, good enough, smart enough, like my whole life. And it was we were all so distant that amongst this shell of perfection and all the silver, the china, all that bullshit excuse my language, I don't know if you can swear at her traditions. Sorry. Oh, I know you probably never heard a swear word in high school. I was suffering and I was lonely, and my mother had suffered depression her whole life that I realized like later in life. And then there was some darkness, some abuse that went on in my life that I couldn't tell anyone. I was young and it was an older person, and I never could tell until I was in my 40s, late 30s. But then I married an amazing man. He's my husband, so I love him dearly. But he had earned wealth. So I just got right back into a situation of wealth, only his was new earned wealth. It was like we chartered airplanes. I had this amazing home, lived in Silicon Valley. We have 3 gorgeous children. They're kind of they're adults now, but we raised our children. I hung out with, he was one of the first Microsoft guys. I hung out with Bill and Melinda and Warren Buffett. I mean, I had this insane life in this gorgeous home, beautiful children, couture. I mean, I was the it. We were the it family. And I lived in scarcity that entire time. I never felt I deserved it. I never felt I deserved it. I can remember waking up in my beautiful bed and thinking, it's going to end tomorrow. It's going to end tomorrow. It's going to end tomorrow. And then it did. I had the classic eat, love, pray crash. My body fell apart. I still looked like this because I wanted to make sure I always had the exterior look. But I was suffering inside. My body broke down. My marriage collapsed. Affairs, you know, like we were the scandal of the town. And I got to I lost my identity to such a degree that I was actually wanted to take my life. I had 3 young kids, gorgeous home, still had resources, but I had so lost who I was that I wanted to take my life. And then I sort of hit that dark bottom, and I looked for an inner world. And that's when I met Lynn Twist. That's when I got into this guru. I did the whole thing. Got the guru, went to India, met Lynn Twist, went to the Amazon rainforest. The Amazon was really something that turned me around because I thought, wow, what the heck am I doing? Get your shit together, get going, make a difference. People need to know what's going on in this rainforest. People need to know what's going on in the Amazon. This Amazon is not going to be here. This planet is not going to be here if we don't get it together. I have resources. I know people with resources. Like, that was just like the slap around that turned me around. But prior to that, I was going down and going down hard. And it didn't look like it. So I couldn't tell anyone, you know, it just looked like I had it all together when I was a mess. But it was all around accumulation. It was all around wanting to keep up. It was all around never feeling like enough. That's what drove my deep, dark dive. I never felt like I was enough. So I realized, wow, and I read Soul of Money. I'm like, wait, this isn't about me or money. This is about the culture. So that's what I'm going to talk about for a minute. The culture of scarcity. The mindset of scarcity. It's in the culture, and we personalize it. It's everywhere. Never enough. Go order something on Amazon. How many things below it pop up that say, well, you might like this and you might like that? And how many times do I fall in that trap? Pretty much, not all the time, but a lot of the time, especially during COVID, because I couldn't get out. So, you know, of course I need that in 4 different colors, because it wasn't enough to just have one. I mean, I say that in a funny way, but it's true. It's like, it's never enough. We want to keep up. It's in the culture. It haunts us. It taunts us. It taunts us no matter how much, millions, billions, $10, $5, $1,000, just making ends meet. It's in the mindset. It's in the culture. And we make it so personal, like it's us. Money amplifies dysfunction in families. My family didn't speak for 10 years because I shared about the abuse. I had an issue with one of my family members, and so none of us spoke for 10 years. 10 years I missed out. Now my mother's 93, dementia. She's at the end of her life. My father passed away a couple years ago. We've done huge forgiveness things, so we're in a great place. But that's what money does. That's what money does. Buddha says the source of all suffering is a lie. We've made money more important than life, than the planet, than relationships, than families. we've made money more important than anything. The word wealth, the etymology of wealth is well-being, the well of being. The well of being is infinite. There's no amount to the well of being. Well-being is walking outside and your toddler comes up and gives you a hug. Well-being is sitting under a tree out here in these beautiful green acres that I haven't seen except for the snail bugs, not stink bugs. My only thing I've seen are stink bugs. But like sitting out in nature, that's well-being. Sitting with your family, sitting here gathering with a bunch of awesome women, that's well-being. The well of being, that's the true meaning of wealth, and we've totally lost our way. So the central lie that I'm going to talk about and you're going to share about, oh, is my little clicker thing up here? Oh, yeah, that's it, got it. Down, up, down. Sea green. Sea green. Okay, sea green. I'm going to talk about, so we're going to talk about the mindset of scarcity. The central lie, the condition of scarcity, which is, again, it's like before thinking. It's an unexamined assumption, which means like it's before thinking, it's before decision making, it's before consideration. I love this analogy of an unexamined assumption. When you throw something away, where's away? It's in your garbage, it's in a landfill, it's going back into the ocean. Do you really know where away is? That's an unconscious, unexamined assumption. Money makes you happy. That's for sure an unconscious, unexamined assumption. You'll never amount to anything. That's an unconscious, unexamined assumption because you don't have a particular level of education. That's it. Again, it's just like before thinking. The good news is it's a mindset that we can unpack. So in the mindset of scarcity, there are 3 toxic myths, clicker, that I'm going to talk about that make up this unconscious, unexamined assumption, condition of scarcity. How good is that? The first one, there's not enough. There's not enough time, money, friends, loved ones, sex. That one's true. Men over 40 that are single. That one's true. But besides those, intimacy, love, connection, houses, things, there's not enough. Think about your day, even your week, your month. Think about this morning. How many times in your mind did you say there's not enough? I didn't think I got enough sleep, and I didn't think I had enough time to prepare for this morning. So I rattled off a few not enoughs like before I even met Nicole this morning. There's not enough. It's rampant in everything that we do. The second part of there's not enough is there's not enough to go around and someone somewhere will be left out. There's not enough, so I'm going to hoard and hold on to everything so that mine and my people get what they want, but it doesn't matter about anyone else. So there's not enough to go around. Someone somewhere is going to be left out. So it's like a there's not enough mentality. There's not enough. It's like, ooh, I've got to buy another house. I've got to get a bigger house and put a gate in front so nobody can get in. Or I've got to get an extra pair of this so no one can have it. Or I've got to buy, 5 different soccer outfits so the other person can have it. It's like, it's rampant. It's endless. It's a vicious, vicious cycle. There's not enough. The next toxic myth is more is better. So when there's not enough, of course more is better. More of everything, more time, more money, more friends, more clients, more businesses, more of everything. And the thing I meant to say about there's not enough too is there's not enough at the end of the day really is I'm not enough. There's not enough really floats right away and leads you to I'm not enough. Because underneath the there's not enough is I'm not enough. When I have to order 5 things that I'll like in addition to the eye cream that I bought that I think is going to make me look younger, that's because I don't feel like I'm enough. When I'm on fire, I could care less about that. But when I'm not enough, I think I have to buy and build and get more and more and more of it. I feel that's part of the addiction crisis. People just do not feel like they are enough, so they need to numb out, which in my story I did that too. So there's not enough, I'm not enough, more is, you think, is definitely better. The more I get, the more I accumulate. Again, that cycle, the more that I'm going to be happy and fulfilled and feel sufficient. And that's just not, it's not going to happen. So there's not enough, more is better. And the third one is that's just the way that it is, which seems harmless, but it's actually the most powerful of the three toxic myths, or has the most harm, because it's resignation. That's just the way that it is. I don't need to change things. I don't need to step in and do what I need to do. I give up. I give up. That's just the way that it is. I'm never going to make it. I can't make it. I can't string two pennies together. I don't know who to go to. That's just the way it is. This world sucks. Society's horrible. I'm never going to make it. And I want to say something. I meant to say this earlier. I totally forgot. I'm not talking about homeless people, people that are in other countries, Ukraine, Russia, that are just devastation. They definitely don't have enough, and there is not enough, and there is scarcity there. I am not talking about that. I'm talking about us, you and me in this room. So I just want to make that really clear, because there's a whole world out there, and a lot of them have the privilege of doing fundraising for are in that situation. So this is about us. So just the way, if you think of movement builders, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, what if they ever said, that's just the way that it is? Sure, they doubt themselves. I mean, Mother Teresa, when they found her diaries after she passed away, she would write in that sometimes she didn't believe in God. It was so hard. But she never gave up. Martin Luther King turned hatred and fear into love. And we got a long way to go. A long way to go. But that's just the way that it is really toxic. So those are the three toxic myths. Now we're going to have you do a little process. So if you could find a partner, and then when you find a partner, just turn to someone next to you. And if you're an odd number at the table, find somewhere where you can have a partner at another odd numbered table. And then I'll tell you your instructions. Does everybody have a partner? Okay, so the longer-haired person's going to go first. And for a minute and a half. Okay, let me say the instructions, then you can go. For a minute and a half, the longer-haired person is going to share, where are you caught, hooked in the lies, the three toxic myths, in the lie of scarcity, where there's not enough, more is better. That's just the way that it is in your personal life, your professional life, your family life. Tell a tale on yourself. Where are you hooked, caught? What shows up for you in the lie of scarcity? And the short-haired person is going to listen, is going to be a committed listener, listen for. Don't start creating your story in your head while you're listening. Just truly listen, because whatever will come out will come out. Okay, so long-haired person, ready, go. Okay, let me see if this works. That works. Okay, so which short-haired person, your turn, and long-haired person, committed listener, where you hot, caught, hooked in the lie of scarcity. Three toxic myths. Go. That really works. Is it too loud? Oh, no. It's good. Okay. Now is the big question. Who would like to be a brave soul and share something really like it was kind of unexpected that came up in that sharing with your friend? Raise your hand if you'd like to share for all of us. Right here. The microphone? Can you stand up? Yes. No, you. Right. Yes, you. Stand up and wait for the microphone and tell us your name and then share.
You sit up.
Hello, my name is Cherie. Hey, everybody. I did try to wait and see if I saw other people's hands before I raised mine. Because if you know me, you probably knew I was going to raise my hand. But What were we supposed to share?
Where were you hooked or caught in the lie, the 3 toxic myths where there's not enough, more is better, or that's just the way that it is?
Oh, I was all up in all 3 of those.
Yeah,
It was just like,
What showed up for you? Yeah.
inner woman at different points in my life, at different times, under different circumstances. And I was just really impressed with how much I was able to get out in a minute and 30 seconds.
So was I.
Thanks, Mel, because again, if you know me.
I was impressed.
So just realizing from a child growing up, experiencing homelessness and abuse and lack and like going through evictions and never having your things with you. So we don't have like a lot of family photo albums and stuff from when we were little, or things that were passed down because we moved a lot or were living in shelters or it got thrown out. So always thinking like it wasn't enough or you didn't have enough or what you had to be enough because you didn't deserve more, you weren't going to get more, it was going to be taken away from you at any moment. And you didn't have any control because you're a child. So I would come home from school and all your stuff is on the curb. You're like, wait a minute, my whole bedroom's outside. It's not funny, but you know, now it is. But then moving on to, as an adult, being in a situation where since I didn't feel enough and there wasn't enough, more became better because I dealt with someone in a relationship intimately who was very materialistic, very vain. And so I tried to buy things to make up for the space of us not having like a genuine, authentic connection, and try to buy things to make myself feel like I was worthy or more valuable to this person. And then like even during COVID, just buying things and buying things. And then saying, oh, I'm supporting businesses and, you know, I make my money. What am I going to do with it? I don't want to just pay bills. So just buying things and having a reason and making up a reason to justify my buying. And then that's just the way it is of after, you know, spending all of my money and realizing I didn't pay all of my bills or didn't handle all my responsibilities. Oh, that's just, I'll deal with that. It'll just be like that until next month when I get it together. And then it just became like this cycle. So being at a point of realizing all the different ways that these have shown up. Because as you were saying them honestly, I was like, no, I'm all right with that. I always think there's enough. There's always enough. I don't think more is better. I don't have to live with a lot because I lost literally, as an adult, everything I owned in one day. I had a storage unit where they sold it and all of my belongings except for I think my car, which I totaled that day also, was like lost. So I kind of got the mindset of I don't need anything. I'm okay with nothing. And then it became, well, that's just the way it is. So I didn't really think I connected with any of these until that minute and 30 seconds. So thanks.
That was a beautiful minute and 30 seconds. Thank you so much, first of all, for your sharing and your courage and for your vulnerability and for being so open and honest. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're all caught in it. We all have a story and we all have what I call our life sentences. Like I'm not good enough, I'm never going to amount to anything, I don't deserve this, I'm going to be left out on the street, I'm never going to have a home, only money's going to make me happy. All the things that we say, we have these life sentences that we carry around. So I want to ask us now all, everything we just talked about and shared with our partner, the mindset, the scarcity world, just sort of put that aside for a minute. Let's just sort of park, as I call it, parking lot it. And I want to talk about what we call to shift, to get at the root of, to shift the mindset of scarcity is called the principle of sufficiency. And it's a distinction, a principle that there's kind of a long story of how it came to be, but it's really in all of us. I mean, my sufficiency clearly happened when I hit that dark bottom and realized there was an inner life and there were things, if I paid attention, that I had, the things that I already had that were abundant. So I had to really shift my perspective from scarcity and not enough to a life of abundance and sufficiency and well-being and what I had to offer. And the power and the mythology of scarcity is really strong. So it takes but on the other side of that is really a life of sufficiency. If you think about a sunset, if you think about an ocean, if you think about walking on the beach, if you think about sitting down with your family and having a meal, if you think about intimate conversations, if you think about when you were sharing with your friend, you weren't thinking about, we were talking about not being up, but you weren't thinking ahead, you weren't thinking, I don't know, it's like being present is sufficiency. Loving what's so is sufficiency. Loving nature, being one with nature. The well-being is infinite. Being in that space is what sufficiency is. When you see a newborn, when you you see their little crinkles in their wrist, that's sufficiency. That's enoughness. There's nothing outside of that. You don't care. Those of us that are mothers, when that baby comes out and there's nothing else there. You're so full of life. Even if there are bills to pay at home, you don't even know you've got this baby on your chest, your breast. It's in the universe. It's profound sufficiency is in us and in the universe. So now I'm going to share what we call the principle of sufficiency. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes because then I'll put it up on the screen, but I want you to just hear it from me first and then I'll put it on the screen. This is what we call the principle of sufficiency. When you let go of trying to get more of what you don't really need, it frees up endless oceans of energy that's all tied up in the chase to turn and pay attention to what you already have. When you turn and pay attention to what you have, when you nourish it, when you honor it, when you make a difference with what you have, when you appreciate it, it expands. So I'm going to put it on the screen and say it again. When you let go of trying to get more of what you don't really need, it frees up oceans of energy to make a difference with what you have. When you make a difference with what you have, it expands. From the principle of sufficiency, and we're going to do another exercise in a moment, so bring this home. There are 3 truths, I can never say that word correctly, that come from the principle of sufficiency. The first one is sort of the abbreviated version of the principle, which is what you appreciate appreciates. And I want you to think about this in this way. When you're with someone who does not appreciate you, who judges you, has a little about you, or judgment, or off, or irritated, or just doesn't really acknowledge and see who you are, you're in the presence of that person. How does that make you feel? It has you go inward. It has you recoil. It has you not feel good about yourself. It has you retract. Now think about yourself as someone who has unconditional love. You fly the moon, loves you no matter what, exactly who you are, constantly acknowledging, appreciating everything, the good, the bad, the weird, the quirky, loves you unconditionally. Like your child loves you as a mother, that unconditional love. What does that do? It expands your being. It expands who you are. It has you be generous. You appreciate who you are by being appreciated. When we acknowledge people, we have meetings a lot. At the end of every meeting, we acknowledge each person in the meeting. I don't care how wonky the meeting goes or which direction it goes, good, bad, indifferent, a snarl. At the end, we acknowledge each person in the meeting. And it's unbelievable. You walk out of that meeting feeling so expansive and so appreciative. So what you appreciate appreciates. And think about that in your life and where that's true. The second truth is money's like water. Money is a currency. It's a current. It flows. When money does not flow, it's toxic. It makes you sick. Think of a fish tank that doesn't get changed. That's fish die. Think about blood. Blood is a fluid. When it coagulates, when it clots, you die. It's unhealthy. When it flows, when it's healthy, you live, you're vibrant. I've kind of found the more resources people have a lot of the time, the less flow happens. I'm a fundraiser. I fundraise all the time. I do fundraising courses, actually. And I always find sometime the person that gives the most is the one that's more of a stretch. And it's more of like, they're so passionate about it that they're going to give extra. And I used to assume in the beginning that people with resources were just going to write me a check and it would be done deal. But no, it's the flow. They weren't in flow. Their money wasn't in flow. They weren't, when your money's in flow and you're giving towards the good, things open up. It's the wildest thing. The more generous you are, the more comes back to you. I've seen it 1,000 bazillion times. I've seen it for myself. I've seen it in all the many, many, many organizations we work with. I've seen it in donors, funders. Unbelievable. Money is like water. And some people have a trickle and some people have a flood, but when it flows towards the highest good. It appreciates. The third one is collaboration and generosity create true prosperity. We can't do this alone. We definitely can't. That's the other thing you notice with people with great resources. The more they have, the more alone they get, the more isolated they get, the more they create a bigger fence around their fancy homes. And you think the most healthy people are the people that are in community, collaboration. In the Amazon, this is where I learned this the most. Like I said, they don't have a word for I. If someone messes up in the community, it's the whole community that takes responsibility. It's not an I culture. We cannot do this, what we're doing, and move forward without being in collaboration, in sisterhood. I'm all about sisterhood. In sisterhood and collaboration with the men, but sisterhood, gathering, that's where true prosperity happens. And now more than any time in the world is where we need to see this. And you see it when huge crises, the Buffalo shootings, Ukraine, like you see people coming together, collaborating, renting out Airbnbs for families in Ukraine. I mean, you see incredible collaborations. So that's where true prosperity comes. So now I'm going to have you, I think that's my last one, right? Yeah. Now we're going to get into another breakout. The same partner, shorter hair person goes first. And here's what I want you to do. Another 1.5 minutes. And you're going to share the bounty, the blessings, the gifts in your life. And I mean get detailed. Names of your kids, your grandkids, your dog, your cat, your town, your favorite house, your favorite outfits, your shoes, things, people, loves, relationship. Like, go for it. Absolutely go for the bounty and the blessings and everything in your life. And again, the longer hair person, don't start thinking about your bounties while you're listening to the other bounties. And also, it doesn't necessarily mean it's all fluffy, good, and woohoo. It could be a divorce. My divorce from Joe, my husband, I call him, is the best thing that ever happened to me. Now, I can see that. I wouldn't be standing here. I'd be in Atherton getting a pedicure or a manicure. I mean, my life wouldn't be as so fulfilling if I wasn't divorced. Death in the family. When my father passed away, it was the biggest gift because I had a chance to finally acknowledge and see him for who he was before he passed away. So that's a blessing to me. So it could be a divorce, it could be a bankruptcy, it could be a breakdown, it could be, and then all the amazing things too. I don't know, my friend loves her Prius. It's all she talks about is her Prius. And everybody in her family has a Prius, and she's like a Prius guru. So whatever that is, share with great love and joy. And again, the longer person who's going to listen this time is going to be a beautiful, committed listener. Okay? So ready and go. Okay, before we switch, I just have to ask, who had an amazing partner that had an amazing story to share? Okay, well, I want to see the hands. Who had an amazing partner? Woo! Excellent. Okay, switch. Three, two, one. Okay, who had an amazing partner this time? Okay, I'll take one, maybe two brief shares, because I don't want to keep you past your time. But share about your partner, something that you would love to share about this amazing partner of yours. Yes. Can you stand so we can hear you? Here comes the mic.
So I'm sharing about my partner. Correct?
Yes, correct.
So my partner, Ashley, is super cool. She moved to Lancaster in 2020, and I'm also from Lancaster.
And Lancaster is really great if you haven't been, because I know we're in York. But Ashley, her husband is doing a really awesome thing, which is taking on a lot more of the brunt so she can go to grad school. And going to grad school is a really big thing when you're also working full time, which Ashley is also doing. But Ashley really fell in love with Lancaster, and so did her husband, and they decided to stay in Lancaster. So she works full time, she's going to grad school, and she loves the outdoors, and she's just really rad. And I think that probably most of the other women in here too are really rad, and that's why they're all here. So
Yay.
we're all cool.
Yeah, great. Excellent. I'm done. Okay. I think. Thank you so much. So I'm going to read a poem before we all say goodbye. But thank you so much. It's been a beautiful day. I doubled up on this talk, and I just want to thank you all for showing up, taking time out of your day. I don't know if it's raining or not, but to come in out of the rain and to be here. I'll say in sisterhood with her traditions, and for being open to my processes and sharing with each other and sharing with me and giving me your attention and intention. So thank you so much. And I'm going to read this beautiful poem from this book. If you haven't gotten the book, The Soul of Money, I would highly recommend it. Okay. It's a Sufi poem. I asked for strength, and God gave me difficulties to make me strong. I asked for wisdom, and God gave me problems to learn to solve. I asked for prosperity, and God gave me a brain and brawn to work. I asked for courage, and God gave me dangers to overcome. I asked for love, and God gave me people to help. I asked for favors, and God gave me opportunities. I received nothing I wanted. I received everything I needed. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, ladies, let's give Sarah one more round of applause. I want to thank all of you for taking this time today to connect and to invest in yourself. Please know that at Traditions Bank, we want to be your partners in this journey and help you make your mark. Before you leave today, I want to encourage you to please stop by the registration room. We do have a photo booth with some fun signs, so go get some photos and then tag us on our Facebook page with Her Traditions or Traditions Bank. And also, don't forget about the materials for Willow. If not for yourself, for other women in your life, please spread this opportunity around so that we can have the maximum impact. Thank you all.